If you've ever had a winning day that turned into a losing day, not because the market was impossible, but simply because you could not stop yourself from trading, then this video is going to make a ton of sense to you. What you were experiencing in those moments has a name. It's called overtrading. And the thing is, it's not a discipline problem, it's not a strategy problem, and it's not even a sign that trading really isn't for you. I'm a trading coach, and it's probably the most common trait that I see in beginner traders and even traders that have been trading for multiple years. The market just has a way of pulling you back in even when you're already up on the day, and most people don't even realize that they're doing it until they take a look at their P&L at the end of the day and just wonder where it all went. So without further ado, let's talk about it. All right, so before we actually get into how to fix overtrading, we first have to sit down and define the term, because if we don't know the term, it's kind of hard to fix it, right? So what is overtrading? Overtrading is placing more trades or taking more trades than your strategy or system calls for. And it's probably the most destructive habit that I have seen in beginner traders or even intermediate to advanced traders, and it can completely devastate accounts. And here's the thing to understand. Overtrading is not actually about how many trades you take. I personally take probably 5 anywhere over to 40 trades per day because I'm a scalper. I love to scalp setups. And scalping is pretty high volume. You have to get in and out of positions pretty quickly. But for a swing trader, they may only take 1 trade a week or 3 trades a week. They may not even be taking a trade per day, right? So overtrading doesn't actually matter how many trades that you are taking. What matters is whether the trades that you are taking are within your system, are within your strategy. And a lot of traders don't actually realize they're doing it until they review their stats and are like, whoa, where did all my money go? Like, what happened? I thought it was up. And it can happen to everybody, honestly. It can happen to everybody. All right, now that we have defined the term, let's talk about signs that you are overtrading. Number 1, maybe you feel restless when you're not in a trade. You're always like, hey, I really need to get in this. I need to get in this. I need to get in something. I'm bored. I need to do something. You start jittering. You're like crashing out a little bit. You're confused. All of that is bad. You should have the ability to stay patient. As traders, probably the best quality a trader can have is to remain patient and really capitalize on setups that are part of their strategy. Another sign is maybe just enter trades just to see what happens. It's like, oh, this is, it's up 20% today. I'm just going to kind of get in. Maybe it's higher. If it's not, it's not. Yeah, that's not good. That's pretty bad. You really have to ensure that it fits your strategy. Once again, I know I sound like a broken record, but it's really important because a lot of people don't do it. And another thing is you trade after your daily loss limit. Now, I personally don't really have a daily loss limit because I don't overtrade. But if you do overtrade and you are prone to overtrading, you probably should have a daily loss limit. And if you trade after that, you're overtrading. And you know that for a fact. It's a really simple guideline to kind of set for yourself to help yourself out a little bit. And yeah, and some other examples of overtrading is trading on emotion instead of taking clear setups. Maybe you're ignoring your plans after big wins or losses. That one I observe really, really frequently actually, is people have huge days and then they give it all back the next year, or vice versa. Some of my biggest days actually have been after some of my biggest losers. That's besides the point. Or this is probably the biggest culprit, chasing price after missing move, getting into a position late. All of those things are a huge indicator that you are overtrading and you need to stop it and you need to do something about it. All right, so now that we understand what overtrading actually is and what are some examples of overtrading, we can begin to talk about why it happens in the first place. Because once again, we need to understand why in order to fix it, right? So why do traders overtrade? Probably the number 1 reason is FOMO, fear of missing out. You are so worried about what if this happens and XYZ and blah, blah, blah. And what if this goes $5 million more? And this is already up 30%. Why can't it go another 10%? That you completely ignore everything and emotions completely overtake you. And you get into stuff not because of a strategy, not because of set guidelines, but because you simply have a fear of missing out. That is probably the number 1 reason why most people overtrade. Another big reason, revenge trading. After losing a trade, a lot of people, what happens is they lost the trade, and their kind of solution to that, right, is I'm going to take another trade and it's going to compensate for that loss. And I'm going to make some money back. And then I'm going to take another trade and to make some of that money back. And then, they kind of get into the spiral of now I've lost 2, 3, 4 trades. So now they start sizing up. They're like, oh, well, I need to make all these losses back. I just need one winner. Come on, I just need one. And that's how it spirals. And that's why most people don't make it. It's because revenge trading and FOMO, they're both so common. Now, this one's a little bit less trading related and more just, psychology state related, is boredom. Needing to feel active, needing to feel like, oh, I have to be doing something. I have to be placing orders. I have to be, clicking my buttons and typing in my keyboard, and I have to be doing something. That's another really common reason why people overtrade, is simply because, they have ADHD like me. And they're like, oh, buttons, 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 and get in and get out and get in and get out, without actually having that necessary criteria. And that results in a dopamine rush. Because guys, trading can be taken like gambling, right? And we all know gambling is extremely addictive. Everyone knows it, right? It's one of the most common addictions in the United States of America, actually, right? Casinos, poker, blackjack, whatever that may be, whatever the gambling, sports betting, whatever the gambling case may be, we all know you can get a dopamine rush for it. But we are not here to gamble. We are here to make money. We are here to take a strategy, whatever your strategy may be, whether you use our strategy, whether you use someone else's strategy, I don't really care. You have to stick to it. You cannot let that kind of gambling mindset come into play with trading. This is how you lose everything. Trust me, I've seen it numerous times. I've been coaching for a while and I've seen many people come and go. This is all of these 4 things: FOMO, revenge trading, boredom, dopamine. This is the reason, the main reasons why people overtrade. And there's a really good chance that if you're a beginner trader, you felt one of those before. So let's talk about how to actually address it. Really quickly, before we continue with the rest of the video, I just wanted to come on here and say that at 20 years old, within my first year or so of trading, I managed to generate a little bit over $500,000 in profit, which is crazy. And if you want to work with my mentor or me in the exact same program that I started in, that I am now a coach in, the link is in the bio to apply for that. Or if you just want some free resources, which is where I started actually, is in the 10-hour free course. The link is in bio for that as well. On with the video. All right, really briefly, before we actually get into how to stop overtrading, I want to talk about just one more thing: the damage that it causes if you continue. Now, here's the thing. This doesn't necessarily apply to everybody, but commissions and fees might actually eat into your profits if you're taking way too many trades a day. Now, for me, that's not an issue because I use a commission-free broker, but not everybody does. Well, look at this. Let's say you're paying $5 per trade in commissions, which is actually pretty common with a lot of these brokers, and you take 10 unnecessary trades a day. That's around $50 a day that's gone. Around $1,000 a month that's gone. $1,000 a month is a lot of money, right? So if you make $10,000 a month, let's say you average 10K a month, but you overtrade and you place, 10 unnecessary trades a day with those parameters, 10% of your money is just gone, just like that, just because you overtraded. It's not even about the trades working or not working. If your broker has commissions, you cannot overtrade. Now, once again, this doesn't apply to everybody. I don't use a commission-free broker, right? Now, the next thing, and this doesn't impact everybody, is win rate. Your win rate gets destroyed. If your strategy has like a 60% win rate on an A+ setup, but if you're taking low quality trades, some B- setups, some C setups, just because you feel like it, that might drop to 40%, 30%, 25%. Make sure that you maintain your strategy and really stick to the A+ quality setups. And we're going to talk about how to do that better a little bit later. Risk management may completely break down. Overtraders often ignore their stop losses, they size up, they ignore their risk, and they blow through daily loss limits. And one bad session can wipe out a week of gains, 2 weeks of gains, 3 weeks of gains. The thing about overtrading is it's not just placing trades, it's the whole concept around it. Someone who is prone to place more trades than they should is also someone who is prone to risk more than they should. Someone who is prone to trade when they should not be trading, and that is really difficult. Emotional burnout and decision fatigue. Because you are over trading, you are making so many decisions so fast versus just trading should be pretty black and white in the sense that it's either black or it's white. You either take it or you don't take it. But because if you're an over trader, you're always questioning whether you should be making that decision, whether you should be getting in or not. And that is difficult in an already psychologically difficult niche, right? So I would not recommend this, obviously, but that is what it can lead to. And finally, count drawdown or blown accounts, margin calls, debt. Just avoid it. I wouldn't recommend it. And these are all things. Obviously, this isn't going to happen to every overtrader, but if you go down the rabbit hole, this can happen to everybody, right? So without further ado, let's address it. All right, and finally, we can begin to stop overtrading. This is where the pathway lies. We understand what overtrading is, we understand what causes it, and we understand why we don't want to overtrade and the consequences that can come with going down that rabbit hole. So how do we stop it? Now, there are rules that you need to set in place in order to avoid it. If you are prone to overtrading, I would set a max trades per day rule initially. You can start to increase or decrease that as you see fit, as you get more experience. But if you're somebody who is prone to overtrading, I would set a max trades per day rule. Maybe you take 3, maybe you take 4. That inherently will force you to look at and consider higher quality setups because you know you only have a certain amount of bullets left in the chamber, right? If you're a hunter and you have, I don't know, if you have 10 bullets left in the chamber versus if you have 2, you're probably going to be a lot more careful with your shots, right? Same thing with trading. Absolutely same thing. Only trade A+ setups. Define them in writing. This is really important because everyone realistically probably should have an idea of what an A+ setup looks like for them, right? For me, I probably have 5 or 6 criteria that I know by heart that this is my setup. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to take. And you should have that. If you don't have that, then you probably don't really have a trading strategy. If you want to learn one, free course in my bio. But besides that, it doesn't matter if you're following my course. You should have a set setup that is an A+ for you. And you should write it down. And you should have every single one of those criteria checked when you're actually taking it and only trade those setups. What I like to do, and what I did in the beginning, is I literally had a piece of paper like on my monitor, like I had a sticky note with all my rules on them and all my setups on them to make sure that I was actually taking high quality setups. I would literally recommend putting it in writing and putting it in front of you so you can always see it. So then you can't deviate from it. It's harder to deviate from it if it's in front of your face, right? Journal every trade and review weekly. I used to review daily actually. I would journal everything and I would review everything on a daily basis. Now, I kind of limit my my journal reviews to probably like once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks if I'm doing well, just because I'm more experienced. And it also takes me a lot less time to actually review those trades. So I would highly recommend journaling because I guarantee you, if you journal your last trades for the week, there's going to be ones where you did not follow your plan, where you overtraded. And that is ultimately how you address it, is by understanding you're doing it, why you're doing it, where you're doing it, and then, taking precautions to never do it again. Another thing that I highly recommend is stop trading after 2 consecutive losses. I mentioned earlier this kind of habit that people get into where they take a loss, then they take another loss to compensate for the first one, and then take another one and another one and another one. And that's where the spiral begins. Maybe you don't have to fully stop trading if you're really confident or used to an A+ setup, but I would recommend at least taking some form of a break to distract yourself and to get your mindset reset, because going down that spiral is a really, really bad idea. I would also build a really structured pre-market prep routine. If you really have a good idea of the stocks that you're watching or the things that you're trading, I'm not sure what indexes you guys might be trading. I trade stocks, so I'm going to use that. If you have a really structured pre-market routine where you analyze your favorite movers potentially for the day and you're kind of prepared for that, where you have 4 or 5 favorites, you're going to be a lot less likely to take the setups throughout the day that aren't those favorite stocks, right? If you kind of go in with that mindset of, this is the things I'm going to be watching, you're less likely to deviate from them. So that's what I would recommend. And that is what is going to ultimately lead to you becoming disciplined and consistently profitable. If you follow all of that and you can execute that day after day, week after week, month after month, this is how you build consistency and this is how you build profitability. Another thing I briefly just want to say is that it's going to be really hard to be perfect at first, right? Psychology is something that is inherently just going to be difficult. And you have to be able to understand that. And there isn't going to be a magic switch that suddenly is like, oh, you no longer overtrade, you're the perfect emotional trader. No one is. Like I said, I've made a good amount of money trading in the last few years. I still have rough weeks. I still have rough days. I still take trades that I shouldn't. It's just, it's part of human emotion. So being not too tough on yourself is really important, because that's how people quit, is when they become overly hard on themselves, obviously. So yeah, if you learned something from this video, give me a subscribe, give me a like. If you want help with anything psychology wise or want me to make a video on anything, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.